Have you ever felt that your mind is not your friend but your enemy? Like something inside you keeps stopping you, even when you want to grow, even when you want to change your life? Maybe you try to focus, but your mind runs away. Maybe you try to be strong, but your thoughts become heavy. You feel tired, confused, and a little lost. And the worst part is, no one teaches us how to train our mind. We go to school, we learn many things, but we never learn how to control our own thoughts. That is the real problem. Today, I want to show you something powerful. Not just a book, but a way to train your mind. A way to make your thoughts work for you, not against you. This is not about reading more. This is about thinking better, feeling stronger, living with purpose. Comment if you've ever felt this way. If you stay with me until the end of this video, you will not just understand your mind, you will start changing it. Slowly, simply, but powerfully. Chapter 1. The Mind That Never Stops. There was a time in my life when my mind never stopped. From morning to night, it was always talking, always thinking, always worrying. I would wake up, and before even getting out of bed, my mind would start. What if today goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I am not good enough? These thoughts were not loud, but they were always there. Quiet, but heavy. And slowly, they started to control how I felt, how I acted, and how I lived. Maybe you know this feeling too. You sit in silence, but inside, there is noise. So much noise. Thoughts about the past, thoughts about the future, regret, fear, doubt. And sometimes, you don't even know why you feel bad. You just feel it, like a cloud that follows you everywhere. The truth is very simple. Your mind is always working. It does not stop. Even when you sleep, it is active. But here is the real problem. Most people never learn how to guide their mind. They let their mind guide them. And this changes everything. Think about it. If your mind is full of negative thoughts, your life will feel negative. If your mind is full of fear, your actions will be small. If your mind says, you can't do it, you will not even try. Not because you are weak, but because your mind is not trained. This is the first big truth. Your mind is like a tool, a very powerful tool. But if you don't know how to use it, it can hurt you, it can stop you, it can make you believe things that are not true. I remember one day, I was sitting alone, thinking about my life. I felt stuck. I felt like nothing was changing. And then a simple question came into my mind. What if the problem is not my life? What if the problem is my thinking? That moment changed something inside me. Because I realized something very deep. Life is not only what happens outside. Life is also what happens inside your mind. Two people can have the same life, but feel completely different. One feels happy, one feels lost. Why? Because of the mind. This is where the idea of training your mind begins. You train your body with exercise. You train your skills with practice. But your mind also needs training. And without training, it becomes wild. It becomes uncontrolled. It becomes your biggest problem. Here is something that may surprise you. Your mind believes what you repeat. If you keep thinking, I am not good enough, your mind will accept it as truth. If you keep thinking, I can improve, your mind will slowly start to believe that too. This is how powerful your thoughts are. But most people never notice this. They think their thoughts are real. They think their thoughts are facts. But many thoughts are just habits. Old habits, learned from fear, from failure, from past experiences. And here is the retention moment you need to hear. Not every thought you have is true. Read that again in your mind. Not every thought you have is true. This changes everything. Because if your thoughts are not always true, then you can question them. You can change them. You can train them. But how? This is where the book comes in. This book is not just pages. It is a guide, a teacher, a mirror. It shows you how your mind works. It shows you how to control your thoughts. It teaches you to slow down your thinking. to choose better thoughts, to build a stronger inner voice. At first, it feels strange. You read slowly, you think slowly, you notice your thoughts. But day by day, something changes. Your mind becomes calmer, clearer, stronger. You stop reacting to every thought. You start observing them. Instead of saying, I am a failure, you start saying, this. Chapter 2. The Book That Changed My Thinking. I still remember the day I found that book. It was not a special day. Nothing big happened. I was just tired. Tired of my thoughts. Tired of feeling stuck. Tired of trying but not moving forward. I was not looking for something powerful. I was just looking for something simple. Something that could help me understand why my mind felt so heavy all the time. And then, I saw that book. It did not look special. No bright colors, no big promises, just simple words on the cover. But something inside me said, try this. And sometimes, that small voice inside you, it knows the way. When I started reading, I did not understand everything. The words were simple, but the ideas were deep. At first, I read slowly, one line. Then I stopped. I thought about it. Then I read again. It felt different from other books. This book was not trying to give me fast success. It was trying to change how I think. And that is not fast. That is slow, but real. The first thing the book showed me was this. You are not your thoughts. At first, I did not understand. I thought, if I am not my thoughts, then what am I? But then I kept reading. And slowly, I saw the truth. Thoughts come and go. They change every day. One day you feel strong. One day you feel weak. One moment you feel happy. One moment you feel sad. If you were your thoughts, then you would change every second. But there is something inside you that watches all this. Something quiet. Something calm. That is the real you. This idea was very powerful for me. Because before this, every thought felt real. If my mind said, you are not good enough, I believed it. If my mind said, you will fail, I felt afraid. I never stopped to question it. I never asked, is this true? I just accepted it. And that is how my mind controlled me. But this book changed that. It taught me to pause, to stop for a moment and look at my thoughts like an outsider, not as truth, but as messages. Some messages are useful, some are not, and I can choose which ones to listen to. That was a big shift. One day, I remember, I was thinking, I can't do this. It's too hard. Before, I would stop there. I would feel weak. I would give up. But this time, something different happened. I stopped. I asked myself, is this thought helping me? And the answer was no. So I changed it. I said, this is hard, but I can try. It was not a big, powerful sentence. It was simple, but it changed how I felt. It gave me a little strength. And sometimes, a little strength is enough to move forward. This is how the book trains your mind. Not with big, complicated ideas, but with small, clear changes in thinking. Another thing the book showed me was how much we repeat the same thoughts every day. It is like a loop, the same fears, the same doubts, the same negative voice, again and again. And when you repeat something many times, your mind starts to believe it, even if it is not true. This is another powerful moment you need to understand. Your mind is shaped by repetition. If you repeat fear, you become more afraid. If you repeat doubt, you become more unsure. But if you repeat calm thoughts, strong thoughts, hopeful thoughts, your mind slowly changes. At first, it feels fake. You say something positive, and your mind says, no, this is not true. But if you stay consistent, if you keep going, something shifts. Your mind starts to listen. Slowly, quietly, it starts to accept the new pattern. I did not become strong in one day. I did not change my thinking in 1 week. But every day, I read a little, I thought a little, I practiced a little. And over time, my mind became lighter. Not perfect, but better. And here is something very important. This book did not change my life. I changed my life by using the book. Many people read books, but they do not change. Why? Because they read, but they do not apply. They understand, but they do not practice. And without practice, nothing changes. This book is like a tool, but you must use it every day, in small ways. When a negative thought comes, notice it. When fear appears, question it. When doubt speaks, answer it with something stronger. This is training. And training is not always easy. Some days, your mind will go back to old habits. Some days, you will feel tired again. But that is okay, because change is not a straight line. It goes up and down and up again. What matters is this: you do not stop. There was a moment, after some time, when I realized something beautiful. My mind was quieter. Not silent, but softer. The negative voice was still there, but weaker. And my positive voice, my strong voice, was growing. That moment gave me hope, because I saw that change is real. Not fast, not easy, but real. And if it is real for me, it can be real for you too. This chapter is not about a book. It is about a decision. The decision to stop being controlled by your thoughts and start training them. Because once you learn this, everything changes. Your actions change. Your feelings change. Your life begins to move in a new direction. And this is only the beginning. Chapter 3. Slow thinking, strong mind. There was a time when my mind was always in a hurry. I would think fast, react fast, decide fast. And most of the time, I would feel wrong after it. I would say things I did not mean. I would feel emotions that were too strong. I would make small problems feel very big, and I did not understand why. I thought being fast was good. I thought quick thinking was smart. But slowly, I started to see something very important. My fast thinking was not helping me. It was hurting me. One day, while reading the book, I saw a simple idea. It said, "Slow down your thinking." At first, it sounded too easy. I thought, how can I slow my thoughts? They come automatically. But I stayed with the idea. I read it again. I tried to feel it. And then I understood. Slowing your thinking does not mean stopping your thoughts. It means not jumping with every thought. It means giving yourself a small space before you react. This small space is powerful. Before this, my life was like this. Thought comes. I react. Emotion comes, I follow. No pause, no control, just automatic living. But when I started to slow down, something changed. Thought comes. I wait. I look at it. I ask, what is this? And then I choose what to do. This is training. At first, it felt strange. I remember one moment very clearly. Someone said something that made me feel bad. Normally, I would react fast. I would feel hurt. I would think about it again and again. But this time, I paused. Just for a few seconds, I took a breath. I asked myself, is this really important? Or is my mind making it big? And slowly, I saw the truth. It was not that big. My mind was adding more meaning to it. That small pause saved me from hours of negative thinking. This is the power of slow thinking. You see, your mind likes speed. It wants quick answers. It wants fast reactions. But fast thinking is not always correct thinking. Many times, it is emotional thinking, fear-based thinking, habit thinking. And here is something you need to understand deeply. Fast thoughts are often weak thoughts. They are not clear. They are not calm. They come from old patterns, old fears, old beliefs. But when you slow down, your thinking becomes stronger, clearer, more real. The book taught me a simple practice. When a strong thought comes, do not follow it immediately. Just watch it, like watching clouds in the sky. It comes, it stays, and then it goes. Not every thought needs your action. This changed everything for me. Before, I believed every thought. Now, I observe thoughts. Before, I reacted to everything. Now, I choose my response. Before, my mind controlled me. Now, I am learning to guide it. This is not magic. This is practice. Every day, you get many chances to train your mind. Small moments. Simple situations. Someone says something. Something goes wrong. You feel fear. You feel doubt. These are your training moments. Not big life events, small daily situations. And here is a powerful truth. Your life is shaped in small moments, not big ones. If you learn to stay calm in small moments, you will become strong in big moments. If you learn to think clearly in daily life, you will make better decisions in important situations. I remember another moment. I was working on something important. Suddenly, my mind said, "You will fail. This is too hard." Before, I would stop. I would feel weak. But this time, I slowed down. I did not accept the thought immediately. I asked, "Is this a fact or just a fear?" And I saw that it was just fear, not truth. So I changed my focus. I continued my work, slowly, step by step. And in the end, I finished it. That moment was small but powerful because I did not let my fast thought control my action. This is what slow thinking gives you: control, clarity, choice. Without slow thinking, you live automatically. With slow thinking, you live consciously. And here is a retention moment you should never forget. You are not weak. Your thinking is just too fast. When you slow it down, you become stronger. You see more clearly. You feel less pressure. You act with more confidence. But this takes practice. At first, you will forget. You will react fast again. You will follow your old habits. But that is okay. Do not judge yourself. Just come back. Again and again. Slow down. Breathe. Observe. Choose. This is your new way. The book is not just teaching you to think. It is teaching you to live with awareness, to live with control, to live with purpose. And slowly, something beautiful happens. Your mind becomes your partner, not your enemy. You start to trust yourself. You start to feel stronger inside. And when your inside becomes strong, your outside life begins to change too. This is the path. Slow thinking, strong mind. Chapter 4. The voice inside you. There is a voice inside you that never leaves. It is there when you wake up. It is there when you walk, when you sit, when you try, when you fail. It speaks quietly, but it speaks all the time. Sometimes it supports you. Sometimes it stops you. And for many people, this voice becomes the strongest force in their life. Not the world, not other people, but this small voice inside. Before I started reading the book, I never noticed this voice clearly. I thought it was just normal thinking. I thought everyone feels like this. But when I started paying attention, I saw something very important. The voice inside me was not always kind. It was often negative. It said things like, "You are not ready. You are not smart enough. Others are better than you." And I believed it. I accepted it without question. I never stopped to ask, why does this voice speak like this? Maybe you know this voice too. It speaks when you want to start something new. It says, "What if you fail?" It speaks when you make a mistake. It says, "See, you are not good." It speaks when you compare yourself with others. It says, "You are behind." Slowly, this voice becomes your reality. Not because it is true, but because you hear it again and again. This is a deep truth. The voice you listen to becomes your life. If your inner voice is weak, your actions become weak. If your inner voice is fearful, your life becomes small. But if your inner voice is strong, calm, and supportive, your life starts to grow. The book showed me something powerful. You can change this voice. At first, I did not believe it. I thought, this voice is natural. It is part of me. But the book explained something very simple. This voice is not fixed. It is learned. It is built from your past, from your experiences, from what others said to you, from what you repeated in your mind. And if it is learned, it can be changed. That idea opened a new door in my life. I started to listen more carefully, not to the world, but to myself. I noticed how I spoke inside. I noticed the words I used. I noticed the tone. And I saw something clearly. I was too hard on myself. I was not speaking like a friend. I was speaking like a critic. And then I asked a simple question. Would I talk to my friend like this? The answer was no. So why was I talking to myself like this? That question stayed with me. From that day, I started to change my inner voice. Not in a big way. Not with perfect sentences. Just small changes. When my mind said, "You can't do this," I gently said, "Let's try." When my mind said, "You are not good," I said, "I am learning." These were simple words, but they had power. At first, it felt strange. It did not feel natural. My old voice was stronger, louder, more automatic. But I did not stop. Every day I practiced. I corrected my inner voice again and again. This is another powerful moment. Your inner voice becomes strong with repetition. The more you speak kindly to yourself, the more your mind accepts it. The more you support yourself, the more confidence you build. Slowly, your inner world changes. I remember one moment very clearly. I made a mistake, a simple mistake, but my old habit came back. My mind said, "You always mess things up." That sentence was strong. It came fast. But this time, I did not accept it. I paused. I looked at it, and I said, "No, this is not true. I made a mistake, but I am improving." That moment felt small, but it was powerful. Because for the first time, I did not let my inner voice control me. I started to guide it. This is what training your mind looks like. You are not fighting your thoughts. You are shaping them. You are not forcing positivity. You are creating balance. Real thinking, clear thinking. And slowly, something beautiful happens. Your inner voice becomes your support system. Instead of fear, you feel encouragement. Instead of doubt, you feel possibility. Instead of pressure, you feel calm strength. But this is not about always feeling good. It is about speaking to yourself in a better way, even when things are hard, even when you fail, even when you feel lost, because your inner voice stays with you in every moment. And here is something you must remember. The world may not always support you, but your mind can. If your inner voice is strong, you can face anything. You can try again. You can stand up after falling. You can keep going when others stop. This is true strength, not outside power, but inside support. The book is not just giving you ideas. It is helping you build a new relationship with yourself. And that relationship changes everything. Because when you start to trust your own voice, you stop depending on others for validation. You stop waiting for someone to tell you that you are enough. You already know it, you feel it, you live it. And this is where real growth begins, not in the outside world, but inside your mind. Chapter 5. The Power of Repetition. There is something very simple, but very powerful that most people ignore. It is repetition. Not talent, not luck, not big moments, just repetition. Small actions done again and again, every day. When I first read about this idea in the book, it felt too basic. I thought, I already know this. But knowing something and living it are two very different things. In my life before, I wanted fast change. I wanted to feel strong quickly. I wanted my mind to become calm in a few days, but that never happened. I would try something for a short time, then stop. I would feel motivated one day, then lost the next day, and I thought something was wrong with me. But the truth was simple. I was not repeating the right actions long enough. The book showed me a clear truth. Your mind changes through repetition. Not through one big idea, not through one powerful moment, but through small thoughts repeated again and again. At first, this felt slow, very slow. I wanted fast results. But then I understood something deeper. Fast change does not last. Slow change becomes permanent. And if I want a strong mind, I need a stable mind, not a fast one. So I started small. Very small. Every morning I would take a few minutes, just a few minutes. I would sit quietly. I would watch my thoughts. If a negative thought came, I would gently change it. If my mind said, today will be hard, I would say, I will try my best. It was simple. Not perfect, but I did it every day. At first, nothing changed. Day 1, same mind. Day 2, same thoughts. Day 3, still the same. And this is where most people stop, because they do not see results. But I remembered the idea of repetition. I told myself, keep going, so I continued, day after day, week after week, and then something started to shift. Not suddenly, not loudly, but quietly. My negative thoughts became less strong. My positive thoughts became a little easier. My reactions became slower. My inner voice became softer. That is when I understood the real power of repetition. It works slowly, but it works deeply. Think about this. If you repeat fear every day, you become more afraid. If you repeat doubt every day, you become more unsure. But if you repeat calm thoughts, strong thoughts, supportive thoughts, your mind begins to change in that direction. This is how your brain learns, not from one moment, but from many small moments. And here is a powerful line you need to remember. What you repeat, you become. If you repeat weakness, you feel weak. If you repeat strength, you become strong. This is not magic. This is science. This is how your mind works. I remember one situation very clearly. I was trying to do something new. I felt nervous. My mind said, you are not ready. That thought came again and again. But this time, I had a new habit. I did not accept it. Every time it came, I replaced it. I said, I am learning. I can improve. I repeated this again and again. Not one time, many times. At first, it felt like I was just saying words. But after some time, those words started to feel real. This is the moment where repetition becomes belief. When you repeat something enough, your mind accepts it. And once your mind accepts it, your actions follow it. That is how change happens. But there is something very important you must understand. Repetition is not about doing it perfectly. It is about doing it consistently. Some days, you will feel strong. Some days, you will feel tired. Some days, you will forget. But that is okay. What matters is that you come back. Again and again. You continue the practice. You repeat the new way of thinking. You build a new pattern, because your old patterns were also built by repetition. Years of negative thinking, years of doubt, years of fear. You cannot change that in one day, but you can change it one day at a time. This is patience. This is discipline. This is real growth. The book did not give me fast success. It gave me a system. A simple system. Notice your thoughts. Change them gently. Repeat the new ones. Stay consistent. That is all. And slowly, your mind becomes different. Stronger. Calmer. Clearer. You start to feel in control. Not because life is easy, but because your mind is trained. And here is a retention moment that can change your life. You don't need a new life, you need new repetition. Your life will follow your habits. Your habits will follow your thoughts. And your thoughts can be trained. One repetition at a time. So do not rush. Do not look for fast results. Trust the process. Trust the small steps. Trust the repetition. Because one day, you will look back, and you will not recognize your old mind. You will see a new version of yourself. And you will know it was not one big moment. It was many small repetitions that changed everything. Chapter 6. The Habit of Awareness. There was a time when I lived my whole day without really seeing what was happening inside me. I would wake up, do my work, talk to people, feel emotions, but I was not aware. I was just moving. Like a machine. Thought comes, I follow. Emotion comes, I react. Situation happens, I respond without thinking. And at the end of the day, I felt tired. Not just physically, but mentally, like my energy was used by something I could not see. The book opened my eyes to something very simple, but very powerful. Awareness. At first, I thought awareness means thinking more, but it is the opposite. Awareness means noticing. Just noticing what is happening inside you, without judging, without rushing. This was new for me. I started with very small steps. When I woke up in the morning, I paused for a moment. I asked myself, what am I feeling right now? Sometimes I felt heavy. Sometimes I felt calm. Sometimes I felt nothing. But for the first time, I noticed it. Then during the day, I tried to observe my thoughts. Not all the time, just sometimes. When something strong happened, when I felt angry, when I felt afraid, when I felt sad, I would stop and say, okay, what is happening inside me? This small question changed everything. Because before this, I was inside my thoughts. Now, I was looking at my thoughts. That is a big difference. When you are inside your thoughts, they control you. When you look at your thoughts, you understand them. And understanding gives you power. I remember one day very clearly. Something small went wrong. Not a big problem. But my mind reacted fast. It said, this is bad. This will ruin your day. Before, I would believe this. I would carry that feeling for hours. But this time, I noticed it. I said, wait, this is just a thought. I did not fight it. I did not push it away. I just watched it. And something interesting happened. The thought became weaker. Because I did not give it energy. This is another powerful truth. What you notice without reacting loses power. Most of your negative thoughts become strong because you react to them. You follow them. You believe them. You repeat them. But when you simply notice them, without action, they slowly fade. This is awareness. Not control, not force, just clear seeing. At first, it is not easy. Your mind is used to reacting. It wants to jump. It wants to follow every thought. But with practice, you create space. A small space between thought and action. And in that space, you find freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to stay calm. Freedom to act differently. I also started noticing my emotions. Before, if I felt angry, I just said, I am angry. That was it. But now, I looked deeper. I asked, why am I feeling this? Sometimes I saw that it was not real anger. It was hurt, or fear, or stress. Awareness shows you the truth behind your feelings. And when you see the truth, you stop overreacting. There was a moment when I felt very stressed. My mind was busy, many thoughts, many worries. Before, I would try to stop it, I would fight it. But this time, I did something different. I sat quietly, I closed my eyes, and I just noticed. Thoughts were coming fast, but I did not follow them. I just watched. Like watching cars on a road. Coming, going, coming, going. After some time, my mind became slower. Not empty, but calmer. That moment showed me something beautiful. You don't need to stop your mind. You need to observe it. Because the more you try to control it forcefully, the more it fights back. But when you watch it, it relaxes. This is the habit of awareness. And like every habit, it needs repetition. You don't need to do it all day. Just small moments. In the morning, in the evening, in difficult situations. Little by little. And slowly, awareness becomes natural. You start to notice your thoughts faster. You start to understand your emotions better. You start to react less and choose more. And here is a powerful line you should remember. Awareness is the beginning of change. Without awareness, nothing changes. Because you cannot change what you do not see. But when you see clearly, you can act differently. You can think better. You can live better. This is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming conscious. Living with understanding, not automatic reaction. And over time, this changes your whole life. Because your mind becomes clear. Your actions become intentional. Your energy becomes focused. You feel more in control, not of the world, but of yourself. And that is real power. The book did not give me control over life. It gave me awareness of my mind. And that awareness gave me the power to change everything. Chapter 7. Letting go of old thoughts. There is something very quiet, but very heavy, that many people carry every day. It is not something you can see. It is not something you can touch, but you can feel it. It is the weight of old thoughts. Thoughts from the past. Thoughts from old mistakes. Old fears. Old pain. And even when life moves forward, the mind stays stuck in those old patterns. I did not understand this at first. I thought my problem was in the present. I thought I felt stuck because of my current situation. But when I started reading the book, I saw something deeper. Many of my thoughts were not new. They were old. Very old. Repeated again and again for years. Thoughts like, I always fail. Thoughts like, I am not good enough. Thoughts like, nothing changes for me. These thoughts felt real because I had repeated them so many times. But one day, I asked myself something very simple. Are these thoughts helping me? The answer was clear. No. They were not helping me grow. They were not helping me try. They were not helping me move forward. They were only keeping me in the same place. And that is when I understood something very powerful. Not all thoughts deserve to stay in your mind. Some thoughts are useful. They guide you. They teach you. But some thoughts are just old noise. old stories that no longer help you. And you have a choice. You can keep them or you can let them go. At first, letting go felt difficult because these thoughts felt like a part of me. I had lived with them for so long. They felt normal, safe, even if they were negative. But the book showed me a new way to see it. A thought is just a thought. It is not your identity. It is not your truth. It is just something your mind learned and repeated. And if it is learned, it can be unlearned. This idea gave me freedom. I started to notice my old thoughts. When they came, I did not fight them. I did not get angry. I just saw them. I said, "This is an old thought." That simple sentence created distance. Distance between me and the thought. And that distance is powerful because when you are too close to your thoughts, you believe them. But when you step back, you see them clearly. I remember one moment very clearly. I was thinking about something I failed in the past. My mind said, "You failed before. You will fail again." That thought was strong. It came with emotion. It felt true. But this time, I paused. I looked at the thought. And I said, "This is the past, not the present." That moment was small, but it changed something inside me. Because for the first time, I did not let the past control my present. This is the power of letting go. It is not about forgetting the past. It is about not carrying it everywhere. You can learn from your past, but you don't need to live inside it. And here is a powerful truth you must remember. Your past thoughts are not your future. Just because you thought something before does not mean you must think it again. Just because you felt weak before does not mean you are weak now. Every moment is a new chance. A new chance to think differently. A new chance to act differently. A new chance to become a new version of yourself. But this only happens when you let go of old thinking. Another thing I learned was this. Holding old thoughts is like holding a heavy bag. At first, you don't feel it. But as time passes, it becomes heavier, slows you down. It makes every step harder. But the moment you put it down, you feel lighter, free. That is what happens when you let go of negative thoughts. You don't lose anything. You gain space. Space for new ideas. Space for better thinking. Space for growth. At first, you may feel empty because your old thoughts are not there. But that space is good because now you can fill it with something better, something stronger, something more useful. I started replacing old thoughts with new ones. Not perfect ones, just better ones. Instead of "I can't," I said, "I will try." Instead of "I always fail," I said, "I can improve." These small changes created a new direction, and slowly, my mind followed. This is not a one-time action. Letting go is a daily practice. Some old thoughts will come back. Some feelings will return, but that is okay. Just notice them, acknowledge them, and gently let them go again. No fight, no force, just awareness and choice. And over time, something beautiful happens. Your mind becomes lighter. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your energy becomes stronger. You stop living in the past and start living in the present. And when you live in the present, you can build your future. This is real freedom. Not freedom from problems, but freedom from old thinking. And once you feel this, even a little, you will not want to go back because you will see that your mind is not a prison. It is a space. And you have the power to choose what stays and what leaves. Chapter 8. Building a new mindset. There comes a moment in your journey when you realize something very simple, but very powerful. Letting go is not enough. You cannot just remove old thoughts and leave your mind empty, because if you leave it empty, the old thoughts will come back slowly, quietly, and again, they will try to take control. That is why after letting go, you must build something new. This is where mindset begins. Before this, I did not think about mindset. I thought it was a big word, something complicated, something only successful people talk about. But the book showed me that mindset is very simple. It is just the way you think every day, the small thoughts you repeat, the way you see yourself, the way you see your life. And the truth is, everyone has a mindset. The question is not, do you have a mindset? The question is your mindset helping you or stopping you? For a long time, my mindset was weak, not because I wanted it to be weak, but because I never trained it. I believed things like, I am not ready. I cannot change. This is too hard. These thoughts became my mindset, and that mindset shaped my actions. I tried less. I gave up early. I stayed in my comfort zone. But when I started working on my mind, something started to shift. I understood that mindset is not fixed. It is built, day by day, thought by thought, choice by choice. So I started building a new mindset. Slowly, carefully, with awareness. I did not try to become perfect. I did not try to become positive all the time. I just tried to think better, a little better than yesterday. When something difficult came, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? I asked, what can I learn from this? That one question changed my direction. It moved me from feeling like a victim to feeling like a learner. This is the power of a growth mindset. You stop seeing problems as the end. You start seeing them as part of the process. I remember a moment when I failed at something important. Before, I would feel bad for a long time. I would think, this is proof that I am not good. But this time, I stopped. I looked at the situation differently. I said, this is not the end. This is feedback. That simple change helped me stand up again. This is a powerful line you need to remember. Failure is not your identity. It is information. When you see failure like this, it stops hurting you so much. It starts helping you. And slowly, your mindset becomes stronger. Another part of building a new mindset is how you see effort. Many people think effort is a sign of weakness. They think if something is hard, it means they are not good. But the truth is the opposite. Effort is a sign of growth. When something is easy, you are not growing. When something is hard, your mind is learning something new. It is expanding. It is becoming stronger. So instead of running away from effort, I started accepting it. When something felt difficult, I said, good. This is my training. That small sentence changed my feeling. I did not see difficulty as a problem. I saw it as a chance. This is how mindset changes your experience. The same situation, but a different meaning. And that meaning changes everything. Another important part of mindset is how you see yourself, your self-image, the picture you have in your mind about who you are. Before, my self-image was small. I saw myself as someone who struggles, someone who is not confident, someone who is always behind. And because I saw myself like this, I acted like this. But when I started building a new mindset, I also started changing my self-image. I did not say, I am perfect. That is not real. I said, I am learning. I am improving. I am becoming better. These are simple sentences, but they are powerful because they are true and they give you direction. And here is a retention moment you must feel deeply. The way you see yourself becomes the way you live. If you see yourself as weak, you will act weak. If you see yourself as growing, you will act with courage. So choose your identity carefully, build it slowly, support it with your actions, and repeat it every day. This is how a new mindset is created. Not in one day, not with one idea, but with many small choices. Every day, you decide how to think. Every day, you decide how to see yourself. Every day, you decide how to respond to life. And slowly, these decisions become your mindset. The book did not give me a new life. It gave me a new way to think. And that thinking changed everything. I became more patient, more calm, more focused. Not perfect, but better. And the best part is, this process never stops. You keep growing. You keep learning. You keep building your mind. And that is the real journey. Not outside success, but inside strength. Chapter 9. Discipline over motivation. There was a time when I waited for motivation. I thought I needed to feel ready. I thought I needed energy, excitement, a strong push from inside. On some days, I felt it. I felt powerful. I felt like I could do anything, but those days were rare. Most days were normal. Some days were heavy, and on those days, I did nothing. I waited. I told myself, I will start when I feel better. But that moment did not come. Days passed, nothing changed, and slowly, I understood something very real. Motivation is not stable. It comes and goes. It is like the weather. Some days it is bright, some days it is dark. If you depend on motivation, your actions will be unstable too. You will move, then stop, then move, then stop again. And this is why many people stay in the same place for a long time. Not because they are weak, but because they are waiting for a feeling that does not stay. The book showed me a different path: discipline. At first, this word felt heavy. It sounded hard. It sounded strict. But when I understood it, I saw something beautiful. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. It is about doing what matters, even when you don't feel like it. This idea changed my life, because now I did not wait for motivation. I created a simple system. Small actions. Every day. No matter how I felt. If I felt good, I did it. If I felt tired, I still did a little. If I felt lazy, I did the smallest step. But I did something. Every day. This is discipline. Not big actions. Small, consistent actions. I remember one morning, I woke up feeling heavy. My mind was not clear. I did not want to sit and observe my thoughts. I did not want to practice. My old habit said, skip today, rest, start tomorrow. And before, I would listen to that voice. But this time, I paused. I remembered what I learned. I said, just do a little. So I sat for 2 minutes. Not 10, not 20, just 2 minutes. I watched my thoughts. I took a breath. That was all. But something important happened. I did not break the habit. That small action kept me on the path. And here is a powerful truth you need to remember. It is better to do a little every day than to do a lot sometimes. Because consistency builds strength. Big actions build excitement. But small actions build change. This is where discipline becomes your power. You don't depend on feelings. You depend on your decision. You decide, I will train my mind every day. And then you follow that decision, no matter how you feel. Some days will be easy. Some days will be hard. But you keep going. That is discipline. And slowly, something amazing happens. Your actions become automatic. You don't think too much. You don't fight with your mind. You just do it. Like brushing your teeth. Like walking. It becomes part of your life. This is when real change begins. Because now, your growth is not emotional. It is stable. It is real. It is consistent. Another thing I learned was this. Discipline builds trust with yourself. Before, I did not trust myself. I made plans, but I did not follow them. I said I would change, but I stayed the same. And slowly, I lost confidence in myself. But when I started being disciplined, even in small ways, something changed. I started trusting my own words. If I said, I will do this, I did it. Maybe not perfectly, but I showed up. And that built confidence. Real confidence, not from thinking, but from doing. This is a retention moment you must understand deeply. Confidence does not come from motivation. It comes from discipline. When you see yourself taking action every day, you start believing in yourself. You feel stronger. You feel capable. You feel in control. And this changes your whole mindset. You stop waiting. You start acting, even when you are not ready, even when you are not perfect, because you know action creates clarity. Action creates growth. Action creates change. The book did not give me motivation. It gave me a system. A simple way to show up every day. A simple way to move forward, step by step. And that system changed everything. Now, I don't ask, do I feel like it? I ask, what is the next small step? And I take it. That is all. And over time, those small steps become a long journey, a journey of growth, a journey of strength, a journey of a trained mind. Chapter 10. The new you begins here. There is a moment in every journey when something inside you becomes quiet but strong. Not loud like excitement, not fast like motivation, but steady, clear, deep. It is the moment when you stop looking outside for change and start building it inside. This is the moment where the new you begins. If you look back now, you will see something. You are not the same person who started this video. Maybe your life is still the same. Maybe your problems are still there. But something inside you, your thinking, your awareness, your understanding has started to change. And that is where real transformation begins. Before this, your mind was reacting. Now, it is observing. Before, your thoughts were controlling you. Now, you are starting to guide them. Before, you believed every voice inside. Now, you question it. You choose. You respond. This is not a small change. This is a new direction. And the most powerful part is this. It is in your control, not the world, not other people, not luck. Your mind. The book was never the real power. You are. The book just showed you the way. It showed you that your thoughts can be trained, that your inner voice can be changed, that your mindset can grow, that your habits can build a new life. And now, you are standing at a very important point. You have two choices. You can go back to your old way, old thoughts, old habits, old reactions, or you can continue this path. Small steps, daily practice, slow growth, real change. No one can make this decision for you. This is your moment. I remember when I reached this point in my own journey, I felt something new. Not perfect, not finished, but different. I felt like I had a choice. Before, I felt like life was happening to me. Now, I felt like I could shape it, slowly, with my thoughts, with my actions. And that feeling is powerful, because once you see that you have control, even a little, you cannot forget it. You cannot go back to being unaware. You cannot go back to being controlled by every thought. You start to live differently, more consciously, more calmly, more intentionally. And life starts to feel different. Not easier, but clearer. Not perfect, but meaningful. And here is a truth you should carry with you. You don't become a new person in one day. You become a new person one day at a time. Every day you think better. Every day you act with awareness. Every day you repeat strong habits. Every day you build your mind. That is how the new you is created. Not in one big moment, but in many small ones. There will be days when you feel strong. There will be days when you feel tired. There will be days when old thoughts come back. That is normal. Do not stop. Do not go back. Just continue. Because growth is not a straight line. It goes up and down and up again. But as long as you keep moving, you are growing. You are becoming better. You are becoming stronger. And one day, you will look back and realize something beautiful. You are not the same person anymore. You think differently. You feel differently. You live differently. And it all started with one simple decision: to train your mind. This is your journey now. Not a fast journey, but a real one. A powerful one. A life-changing one. And it starts today. Thank you for staying with me until the end. You did not just watch a video, you took a step toward a stronger mind and a better life. Remember, your thoughts shape your world, so choose them with care. Subscribe for more motivational audiobooks and stories in easy English. Share this video with someone who needs it. Save this for a time when you feel lost or tired.